Welcome to Liza Listens. Today, my guest is Wendy Shew, the founder and CEO of Building Education, a for-purpose 501c3 that provides education to children living in third world countries in the efforts to overcome poverty. The goal is to transform rural villages and poverty-stricken areas into prosperous, dignified communities. Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Would love to start off with your personal journey and what inspired you to create Building Education.
Thank you for asking, I think, in my opinion, the most important question, which is our why behind everything that we do. So I guess my story really dates back to when I was young, when I was 8 years old, and I lost my mother at a very young age. So I lost her due to cancer. And as I grew up, the lack of her kind of created or caused me to rebel because I didn't feel like I was getting necessarily the love that I needed from her, right? There was a gap in my life and I didn't know how to communicate. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but I feel like, Asians, especially Asians that are first generation here, our parents didn't teach us how to communicate properly about our feelings, and we're just learning now, right, as a society as whole, that it's important to talk to someone about things and to actually release those emotions and go through the healing process. So I think because I didn't know how to properly heal, I began to rebel in high school, and I was actually quite truant. I transferred to about like three different high schools,
Oh.
and finally graduated into graduated one high school, and I went straight into working. So I was working full time and then a part-time job as a bartender, but I started to go down like a very slippery road of, just self-medicating, taking a lot of substances in order to kind of distract myself from the pain of not healing over losing my mother, or kind of even feeling like the world had taken something from me,
Wow.
you know, and I didn't know how to deal with that anger. So long story short, I guess what happened was my wake up call was when I almost overdosed one night, right? I was at a party. At a party where I didn't know anyone. Prior to that, I had cheated on two guys, gotten myself pregnant, had an abortion. So I was just going through all the motions.
Wow.
I was going through guilt, shame, self-hatred, all that stuff. And in a sense, that overdose was almost like a way of me hurting myself. And the interesting thing is, during that time when I almost overdosed, it gave me a really big realization. And it was that moment that I realized that I didn't think my life was worth living. So recovering from that, I realized that, no one was going to come and save me, and that I had to basically save myself. I had to do it myself. I had to work for it myself. So I decided to leave San Francisco. I left the city, went into LA, decided to go back to school, and education is ultimately what saved my life, right? Um, I studied aviation. I became very empowered, and I was just so super inspired by how education saved my life that um, after graduating college, I went into the aviation industry, and I started to do, I enjoyed my work there, but I started to look into things that actually called to my soul. One of those things was to travel to India, because I had never left the country before, and to volunteer at a girls' orphanage. And going there, I just completely fell in love with the work that I was doing. And I realized, these girls that were victims of, you know, severe homelessness at a really young age, or human trafficking, or victims of being in sex brothels and things like that, what was saving their life was education. And I aligned with that so much. And so when I came back to the States after that trip, I ended up quitting my job, selling all my things, just everything, and then traveling the world for about 6 years. And from there, the organization was founded.
Wow. How do you stay positive, particularly in your line of work?
That's a really good question because there is a lot of devastation. And, you know, I almost feel like I'm very, very like pulled to this to the work that I do. I feel like it's a calling. I feel like it's my purpose. And
Hmm.
the interesting thing is, I really like to look on the positives. I do a lot of self-development work. So for me, I'm always thinking, how can I shift my mind to look for something positive, right? My whole story is about turning tragedy into purpose. Um, if my mom had never passed away, I would have never gone through the path that I had gone through and then started in the nonprofit world.
Right.
To me, my mother never got to leave a legacy behind. So being able to build schools on behalf of her, I get to leave a legacy on behalf of her.
Mhm.
Her love lives on in every single one of these projects, right? Because it transcends through me. And I look for the silver linings and I try to maximize that. I think that's really what it is. And I will be completely honest and say that when it comes to devastation, I have an ability to kind of separate myself emotionally from the trauma and focus on solutions. And I think that has a lot to do with losing my mother at a young age, right? You learn to kind of, now I've learned healthier ways of dealing, but as a kid, I had to learn to like set my feelings aside and still continue on with my every single day life. So I think my way of dealing with these situations that are extremely traumatic and huge devastation in countries is like, okay, my emotions, I can kind of compartmentalize, set it
Mm.
aside, focus on a solution, focus on what is the possibility here, work towards that. And that drives me, that motivates me when I see progress, when I see change, when I see hope, when I see things turning for the better. So it's really just focusing on the positive. And then also it's really important because taking the time to heal, right? To be completely honest. I'm actually doing that right now. One thing I haven't really shared much is, we recently had this gala of success, but
Yeah.
one thing that really drove me was I just got out of a relationship in Spain, with my Spanish partner then. And it was heartbreaking, but I had to make a decision. And I let that drive me to work harder, to do better, because I thought, okay, if I'm leaving behind a relationship, then I'm going to make sure that it's worth it, you know? So, you know, being where I am now, my retreat, this is kind of like my retreat in the wilderness. I'm in the wilderness right now. That's why I'm in like this shack and everything.
Right.
I've given myself the time to heal. I'm still working a little bit, but I'm like, okay, let's like sit down, let's journal, let's write, let's go through all the emotions. Let's handle this.
So cool. So what's next for Wendy? What projects are you currently working on?
Just scaling the organization, really, right? And I think this is what my realization, what I came to during this retreat is, it's good to just focus on one or two things. I'm the person that really loves to have two things. um, so just focusing on one or two things within the organization. We're building our second, third, and fourth schools, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yay.
We're also hosting 12 women empowerment conferences in Nepal, to teach women to start businesses, right? Which is very needed right now in Nepal because of the whole COVID situation.
Mm.
Um, and then as for myself, I've been a world traveler for 6 years. I just got back to the States. I would say officially in September, and was like, okay, I'm going to ground myself here. I'm going to live here. I'm going to be here. And I think for me, this is the first time I just have been asking myself, like, I want to focus on me, and know that by focusing and taking care of myself and making me a priority, that I'm going to be helping other people. So I'm also a coach. So I have my coaching program. I think I would love to start to be able to step up more as a leader and help more people, and to really create something for myself.
Love that. Thanks again, Wendy, for being here today. How do we get in contact with you and get more information about building education?
Absolutely. So we have our website, which is www.bebuildingeducation.org. We also have our Instagram, which is, at Building Education. Same thing with our Facebook.
Okay.
And then as for me, my Instagram is If You Seek Wendy. So IFYOUSEEK Wendy, and Facebook Wendy Shew.
Nice. Perfect. And that's our show for today. Please continue to follow our guests and continue to learn the incredible things they're doing. Their links are posted on the show notes. And if you like this content, please subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications, like, and share this channel. I'd really appreciate it. I'm Liza Noche. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.